welcome to Shad Life. Today I want to talk a little bit about how derailleurs work. We'll make it really basic on that. And then I want to compare my electronic shifting, which is SRAM axis, GX axis to be exact, but with a Shimano cassette. And what's cool about that is then I can compare mechanical XT derailleur also with a Shimano cassette, and kind of compare the quality or how quickly it shifts, and I'll do some slow motion and stuff here. But before we get into that, let's just go over the basics of how a derailleur actually works. So here we have a Shimano XT derailleur, a little beat up or whatever, but it's actually in perfect working condition, just a little dirty. A derailleur works in two different ways, or has two different movements. One of them is this movement, and this is what keeps the chain tight. It's the chain tension movement, and it's the tension of the chain that will make this move. So as we go into a bigger ring, it's going to pull the chain more and make this move forward. As we go into smaller rings, this will move back because there's more chain, and this needs to move back to keep the chain tight. And then this derailleur has a clutch mechanism. Clutch makes this much harder to move and easier to move. And the reason you want a clutch is when you're actually riding the bike, you want to turn the clutch on to reduce chain slap. The other motion that a derailleur has is this motion here, and this is what actually selects the gears. So when you shift the gears, the cable will pull this arm in like this and actually move this into the correct gear. You'll notice there's no clicks or engagements here because that's handled up at the shifter. That has the clicks in there, correct amount of cable pull for each gear. So your shifter will have 12 clicks in this case with a 12 speed, and this will move to accommodate that. So that's basically your two functions of a derailleur: shifting to the different cogs and keeping the chain tight. So now I want to show you what that actually looks like in slow motion while it's on the bike. So I'm going to move into my studio, get on my computer, and we'll shift to talking about what the derailleur is actually doing. I will actually watch it move the chain. And then while I'm at it, I decided to film both my axis electronic shifting to the mechanical shifting, and we'll see if one is better than the other or moves the chain any quicker, and we'll be able to see that in slow motion. So let's get to it. So here I am shifting at regular speed. I go down. I don't go all the way down because it doesn't make sense to go into the smallest cogs, and then I go back up. So what we want to do is we want to see this in slow motion. Okay, so here it is in slow motion, and you'll actually hear when I hit the shifter right there, and then it takes a bit before you see the chain go down to the next cog. And then you'll hear the shifter, so you can kind of hear that clunk sound, that's the shifter. And then you'll see the chain come down. There's definitely a delay in there between when I hit the shifter and when the chain moves. It's pretty interesting. Yep. So we'll be able to compare this to the axis shifting here in a moment. Okay, now I believe I'm going to start going up, and you'll hear the click. Okay, I went down one more. All right, here I'll start going up. And you'll hear the click, and then you can kind of see the chain grab and move up to the next cog. You see it kind of hopping around there and trying to grab and pull up. There's definitely a delay there. You see it kind of pop. Yep. So it takes like 3 or 4 teeth before it actually grabs, or maybe even more than that. That one went really well there. So keep in mind while you're watching this, mechanical shifting, especially with the thumb, where you're going into the easier gear, you don't always push it exactly the same every time. Sometimes I'll push it a little more or a little less, things like that. So it's not always precise. So sometimes I probably do better shifts and it goes right into gear, and other times I probably don't. I hear the click, or I get it to click, but I don't push it any bit more beyond that, and then it has to sit there and like kind of grab the ramps and stuff that you see on these cogs. You'll see them where the cogs have little shapes and stuff built into them, and that's what helps grab the chain and move it up. Very interesting. And then the big cog always seems like the biggest struggle. I even feel that when I'm riding too. When I go into the biggest ring, it seems like that's the hardest ring, but it's also the biggest jump between gears too. One thing I want to point out here is right there, you can notice that the chain is on 2 cogs at the same time. What this does is it allows you to continuously put the power down and not have the chain slip or have any issues. So it's pretty cool that chains are capable of doing this and being on 2 cogs at the same time, so you can be doing constant, continuous power throughout your pedal stroke. Now we're doing electronic shifting. It seems to shift a little quicker. You hear the little electronic servo movement, and then you see the chain move right away. It'll be interesting to see this in slow motion. You can also tell I'm having a harder time keeping up with the freewheel, and I think that's because this is a lower engagement hub than on the other bike, which has one of those high engagement Industry 9 hubs. Also notice that the chain is on 2 cogs, just like with the mechanical system. There is no difference here. Okay, so now we're gonna watch it in slow motion. You can see the derailleur move, and then you see the chain move up to the next cog. There we go. I can definitely see that it is a lot faster and smoother with the axis. You have to keep in mind that with the electronic shifting, it's gonna do the same exact movement every time. It's not reliant on how hard I press the lever. Yeah, you don't see the chain like kind of skipping to find the gear. You just see it go right up there on the cog. See, watch this. Look at that. As where with the mechanical shifting, you saw it kind of skip and take a few tries to grab it before it would move up. Yeah, it just goes right up there. That's pretty impressive. Let's see if the big ring has any issues. Yep, there. Okay. So going to the big ring, you could see it kind of have to skip and try to grab. The big ring is always the hardest because it's the biggest jump. But that's the only one that really seemed to struggle a little bit with the electronic shifting. All the other gears seem to be really crisp. Now we're going down. It's looked like it kind of struggled to get off the big ring. But now it just pops right down. And going down obviously is easier because it's just, getting pulled over and it just has to fall onto the cogs, versus going up. It actually has to get lifted up and pulled onto the teeth. I also notice when watching this in slow motion how much the chain jumps up and down on the top there. See how much it just moves and jumps up and down? That might also be because I'm not able to put enough pedaling pressure on with my hand. That's why there's all this extra clicking, because I can't keep up with the freewheel engagement. Now we're going back up again. It is definitely cleaner with electronic shifting. It's very obvious watching it in slow motion. Alright, I think I go into the big one again. Let's see if it struggles like it did the last time. There, the derailleur moved. A little better that time. Yeah, that's interesting. That also might be the timing of when I shift versus when the ramps and stuff that are on the cog are available to grab the chain. Interesting. So there you have it. It looks like the access is a little bit better. When I'm riding the bike, I can definitely feel it seems to just go kroong, kroong, kroong into the gears. And the XT mechanical shifting is still pretty good. It still wants to jump into the gears. There's just that split delay, and you could see that in the slow motion, which is kind of neat, where it kind of tries to grab the next cassette and pull the chain up there versus just getting put right up there with the access shifter. Keep in mind, I do have my B spacing dialed and the shifter dialed and everything dialed pretty good, about as good as I can get it. So yeah, I appreciate your support from my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.